Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to slightly upgrade my little tarantula here.
G'day, I'm Luke and I'm an avid reptile and amphibian keeper. On my channel you'll see heaps of DIY tutorials, enclosure builds, herping clips and loads more to do with animals. I hope you subscribe for some more animal related content.
So I hear you saying to yourself, Luke, when did you have a spider? We've never known that you had a spider. Well, turns out that I'm pretty good at keeping some secrets, and I have had this little spider here, this little Phlogius hirsutus. Probably butchered that Latin, but anyway, there you go. I've had it for probably, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months or so, thereabouts, maybe a little bit longer, probably coming up closer to, yeah, something like 6 or 7, 8 months even. And he's been in this little container ever since I got it. It's only about a 400ml container or thereabouts, and it's kind of just what he came in. I got it straight from Fish Organics through the shop, and yeah, it was a very small spider. He's probably about half the size of my pinky nail, and yeah, it's starting to get a little bit bigger now, and I just want to give it a little bit more space. So I'm going to put it into a slightly bigger box with a couple more vent holes in there, and just give it a little bit more room to crawl around and make some burrows and bits and pieces. So over the years I have had a few little spiders. I'm actually not the biggest fan of arachnids. Kind of like my way of getting into snakes. I bought myself a little tarantula to actually get over my fears, per se. And it has worked. You know, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to go and, you know, put this thing on my face or my hands or anything like that, but I can appreciate the animal for what it is now, whereas before I just thought, you know, spiders weren't my thing, let's just put it that way. So I have had a few. The first one that I ever got, I think it was a Selenotypus wallace, and I believe it was a male because it was already a pretty decent size, but it also passed away reasonably young. So yeah, a little bit disappointing. So from there on out I kind of just decided to grow my own slings and enjoy them from there. So yeah, I've had a couple. The last one I had, I grew to a really decent size, ended up being a female, and for whatever reason I thought, you know what, I want to sell it on. And I kind of always regretted it from there. So when the opportunity arose and I could actually get another one, I thought, you know what, hell, I'm just going to do it. It's not exactly like they're a high maintenance pet by any means, and you know, a few crickets here and there, it's not exactly going to go astray, and they don't really require too much heat, at least for not where I'm keeping them. You know, this room stays pretty warm, so I just keep them at an ambient temperature. But yeah, it's starting to get to a decent size. I'd say it's probably around the sort of 20 cent piece mark, so probably, yeah, about, I don't know, 25ml across or thereabouts. So I'm just going to give it a slightly bigger box. I'm going to show you how I set it up in the process. So the first thing I'm going to do to this little container here is actually just add a couple of vent holes. They don't have to be too big. I am going to use just like a step drill bit on the end of my impact driver to do this. And I'm going to go pretty slow because I don't want to crack this lid, especially not the cost of these little Systema containers. I think this was about $7 for this one, but it's a nice little container, so yeah, wish me luck. Well, there we go, we managed to get a few holes in without cracking a lid, which is always fantastic. I'll just clean these up a little bit here, but other than that, there's some good ventilation for this little guy. As I said, they don't need too much. The other reason that I pretty much use minimal ventilation is also the fact that if you have too much ventilation inside of the container itself, they can dry out pretty easily, and the last thing you want to do is really dry out your spiders. They don't have to be wet and sopping wet, but at the same time they just need a bit of moisture in there, otherwise they seem to perish pretty quickly. So that's just what I've learned in my minimal experience keeping these things. So the next step from there, I'm just going to quickly go and make up some coir peat and just hydrate it with a little bit of water and get it into this container so we can make a deep little substrate layer for for the spider to go and burrow in. Perfect. So we've got this stuff here. This is just coir peat, same as what you get from Bunnings. Just make sure it's one without a fertiliser or anything like that in there. And what we actually want to do with this is just pack it in. We want to make it a little bit firm too. The spider's going to make his little burrow and everything in here. Make a nice little layer of it. There we go. Could probably make it a tiny bit deeper. They pretty much spend most of their time under the ground anyway, so that'll probably do it for there. So the last thing I'm going to do is just poke a hole down the side so I kind of already start a burrow for him. Hopefully he takes to this side. Eventually he'll make his little burrow wherever he feels comfortable with it, but this just gives him somewhere that he can kind of retreat to. The only other thing that I am going to do for this little guy, I'm just going to add a little bit of leaf litter on top. That might just help a little bit of the humidity and stuff stay down the bottom. Give him a little bit more cover to run around in. Just make it a little bit more natural for him, as much as a plastic container like this can be natural. And give him a little bit of a layer to the top of his little hide there. The last thing we need to do is add a spider into here. So let's have a look at that. So as I said, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of spiders. I know this little guy's hanging around down the bottom of his container at the moment. You can see he's got this beautiful web and everything that he's made up here. Might just have to remake that. Sorry, bud. I'm going to start just gently dismantling his little container here onto the garage floor. At least I can clean that up nice and easy. Just so I can actually find him himself. You can see it's nice and humid in here. Just checking to see if I can actually find where he might be hanging out. The last thing I want to do is ditch him out on the garage floor here. He's got this beautiful section down here. It might be a bit hard to see on camera, but it's all nice and hollowed out down the bottom there. So I'm just going gently just because I'd hate to prod him with a pair of tongs. And I am using tongs because, as I said, not the biggest fan of spiders, but I can sure appreciate them. I am looking forward to when this little critter's quite big. And I've been growing him up just nice and slow. I haven't been rushing anything. I think if you kind of rush a good thing like that, then you can potentially shorten lifespans on animals, so it's just not the way that I like to do things. Well, I think I can see him. I don't know if you can see him on the camera, but he's just down in there, in that little hollow. I say he, I actually hope it's a she, because they tend to be a little bit more long-lived. Oh, hopefully that's picking it up. As I've said in previous videos, I definitely have a thing for cryptic animals, and this little guy, or gal, is certainly cryptic. It's one of those animals that I kind of only see every once in a while. It's kind of like keeping an empty piece of Tupperware container full of dirt, but when you do see the little critter, you can sure appreciate it for what it is. Okay, I can see it quite easily now. I'm just going to keep excavating all this stuff out, just so I can give you guys a bit of a better look at it. From memory, these guys are quite pretty as adults as well. I think they actually have some like blackness or darkness to their legs. I could be wrong. Or Google could be wrong at what images I was looking at when I decided to purchase this little thing. Hopefully you can see that little guy there now. The camera's a little bit hard at picking it up. He or she is just in there, crawling around. It's probably a little bit bigger than a 20-cent piece. It's probably leg span's a bit bigger than a 50-cent piece now, to be honest. Maybe even a little touch bigger than that. But it's such a cool little animal. Anyway, I don't want to stress it too much, so I'm going to go and pop him into this other enclosure. And hopefully I can get a bit of a close-up after that.
Not a fan. Not a fan. I told you I wasn't a fan of spiders, and this thing's gone and done the Harry Houdini on me and jumped out of the container. I've luckily just caught it. Need a bit of cardboard. Slide under it. Tell you what, that was a lucky catch if ever I've had one. Oh, got it in there. A little bit difficult, but we got there. So there you go, guys. There's my little tarantula. Let me know what you think I should name this little guy, because it doesn't actually have a name yet. I'm starting to think something along the lines of Speedy Gonzales, because he just gave me a run for my money. See those little eyes on top of its head there? Those strong little jaws. Ooh, they still give me the heebie-jeebies, I tell you what. I can certainly appreciate it for what it is. But from here, I'm going to lock this up, guys. Nice and safe. And there we go. New little home for the spider. Somewhere for it to kind of grow up a little bit further into. And if you guys did enjoy this video, and you enjoyed me freaking out about a little spider, please make sure to hit the like button, comment down below what I should name this little guy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. And if you really want to support the channel, go and check out Patreon and the Teespring store so you can get yourself some cool reptile related merchandise as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.